Hi guys, it's Mary. Welcome back to my face. We're going to put on a whole face of new makeup. I'm going to open it right in front of you of things I used to love. So makeup I used to use, like back on my channel when it first started. In other words, my old face of makeup, and have forgotten about because over the past 8 years I've been reviewing and moving on to the next. So if you're up for it, let's get going. I used to always use MAC paint pot. Let's get this open and see. I do think that this was ultimately replaced with Sigma's eyeshadow stick for me. And I always say that that is like this in a stick, but I don't know. Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm remembering it wrong. Let's check it out. So what this is a cream shadow, and it was very popular in the day because, let me feel it. And I think I used to put it on with my fingers and sometimes a brush. Okay, it's creamy, but it's a cream shadow from MAC, and a lot of people like to use it as a base for their eyeshadow. I don't have a mirror. Use this one, even though this isn't a 10 by, so probably can't really tell what I'm doing, but I'm in the vicinity of it anyway. And yeah, it does. It's actually a better color for me than the one I use in Sigma, which is Ignite, but the convenience of that thing. And also, I swear, I think there's something in that formula that smooths. I'm talking about the convenience and the smoothing of the Sigma eyeshadow base. Notice that I said that's a base, okay? This right here is not, it's just a cream eyeshadow being used as a base. Because right now in the Wasted and Glitzy Fritzyville basket, I am using a primer by Ulta, and it's a good eyeshadow primer, but I'm noticing that on this eye right here, there's wrinkles that are like showing up more than normal with my eyeshadow. And I'm thinking, is it that primer? Does the Sigma one do something, you know, that I hadn't considered? Like, I don't know, iron out those wrinkles? Okay, so you got to get the lid on this tight. I do remember that, because if not, what happens is it dries out and then it makes your eyeshadows look terrible, because I don't believe that this is what this thing was ever intended for. They're just cream shadows, and people started using them for this, and then it caught on, and so then everybody started doing it. I really like that. I think that that did a wonderful job of making me look like the discoloration of my lids has gone away, and it's a better color suited for me. I'm probably going to continue to use this just like the old days, you know, and cancel out what's going on here, but still use the Sigma, okay, as my base for my eyeshadows. Let's see how this does perform, and keep in mind that these eyeshadows are not new. These are all old, like 8 years old probably. But back in the day, what I did was use singles, and that would be either MAC singles, Makeup Geek, Lancome. And so what I did was I went through and I got my 3 base that I always use: Blanc Type, Soft Brown from MAC, and MAC Swiss Chocolate. And then we're gonna top with, or come into the inner corner anyway, with Shimma Shimma from Makeup Geek. And I don't think you can get that anymore unless you got it from somebody like me that sold you their used one. And then this one, I don't know if Lancome still sells this or not, but this is All That Brightens. And today I'm going to be using rougher brushes, and yes, these are dirty. Okay, let's get the Mel brush out of there. But I wanted to say I'm going to use these. I'm just going to wipe them off, okay, and use them again. But what you see me using today, stick around until the end to find out why.
Nobody knows why. Yeah, I bet they do.
Let's come into Blanc Type. And I'm just going to say that if this doesn't work out, it's probably not MAC Paint Pot. It's probably the shadows, but I don't know. It could be. I've aged 8 years. It could be that it doesn't work on me anymore. The whole point of the video is to see, do the things that I loved so much 8 years ago still work for me? By the way, this is the #1 rougher brush. Now I'm going to take Soft Brown with that same brush, and I'm going to put that in the crease up through the transition is where I'm going. So between the crease and my brow bone, right there. That's the transition, because you're transitioning from your crease up. And I don't care if it lands in my crease. I'm gonna cover it up anyway. My very first eyeshadow palette that I ever walked into the Sephora and purchased was by Too Faced. Too Faced loves Sephora. I think it was their 15-year anniversary together, and I purchased that palette and I loved it. It had these greens and blues that at the time I thought, I can't wear those. Okay, I will look stupid if I wear those. And really, most of that was that I wasn't used to seeing myself like that. But I would watch all these young YouTubers, mainly Jaclyn Hill, and I would try to do what they were doing, and it wasn't working out. And then I'd get my makeup done, and I truly felt terrible about myself because I thought, well, I guess I can't do it, or, you know, whatever. And some of it, like I said, I just wiped that off, was I wasn't used to seeing myself that way, and so it looked horrible to me. Another thing was I was using the wrong model for my age. Obviously, Jaclyn Hill is a lot younger than me, so some of what she does doesn't work for me. So once I realized how I could adapt what she was doing to how I'm going to do it for me, it started to look better. So I'm going to come out here. This is Swiss chocolate, and I'm just circling, same brush, just wiping it off and using that same brush over again. Because this number 1 by Refer is a lot like the E25 that's in the Glitzy Fritzy Essential Eye Set. It's kind of a one and done kind of brush. It's fluffy so you can blend with it, but it's pinched here at the base so it's flat, so you could use it as a base, or, you know, this brush is so multifunctional that if you could only have one brush, it'd be a brush like this. I could even get underneath my eyes with it. You just pinch it down and use it like that. This is the number 2, and we're going to use the number 2 to come into Shimma Shimma. I'm just going to kind of tap right there. It's been a long time. I don't remember how strong Shimma Shimma is. Whoop! It didn't take much, did it? I remember watching Marlene, and if you don't know it, she was the owner of the company Makeup Geek. She would make these eyeshadows that were just as good, an alternative to MAC, and then her business kind of tanked and went out of business because of a YouTuber. We're not going to talk about that, but, you know, I think that COVID finished it off. And it was a really good company. Now I'm going to get All That Glistens from Lancome, and I don't know that they still sell this shade. Nope. But it's just beautiful, and it does exactly that. It glistens. So if there's actually is a drugstore item in here, and it's a drugstore mascara. But 2 that were my absolute favorite were this from Tarte Lights Camera Lashes, and I only picked up a small one because they were having a deal. You know, the small ones are cheaper than the big ones, right? But they were having a deal. Buy one, get one free. And I even found my lash curler, which was, you know, the one I always use. So I would start out with Cils Booster, which, you know, could have totally been the whole reason the mascara looked good to begin with. I'm not going to put this on the left eye because I really want to know if this mascara is that good, or if Cils Booster was helping it out. We're going to start on the left since this is not where I want it yet. And let's find out. Do I still like Lights Camera Lashes? Not positive, but I think I tried this out, you know, between then and now one other time, and I didn't think that it was any better than anything else that I used. But back then, I thought this was the best mascara ever, and it's not doing too bad. That's pretty good, I think, for no more than I've done. And for those of you who want me to act like that slacker, Mary Ellen after 60, and count. That's not slacking, Mary Ellen. When you count how many times you swipe, that's not being a slacker. That is the truest way to know if you're comparing mascaras, you know, is to count the swipes. But I don't. I just put on coats. And, you know, this is doing a really good job of darkening up my lash line. But let's see what it does over the top of the Cils Booster. Now, I've been telling you for a little bit that I stopped doing mascara comparisons, one on one eye, one on the other, because, well, my lashes, I'm sure yours are too, they are not the same. My lashes over here are not the same as over there. I may be thicker on my right side than my left side this week, and, you know, it's not a fair comparison to the mascara. But what I want to know is, does the Cils Booster boost this mascara more than the other eye? And keep in mind, I just opened this. I'm one of those people that has a firm belief that a mascara is better in the second week of its life than right after you open it. I actually do think the Cils Booster is boosting it. So since I used to wear Cils Booster under it all the time, I can see why I thought, wow, this is just the greatest stuff ever. For the top lashes, not the bottom. This is what I always wanted to use before I used MAC Extended Play, which I probably need to get that again. But first, let's see. Is this better? What I love about this mascara is, I mean, it's a good mascara. And I like it in the gold too. What I really love about it is its wand. The wand is really tiny. I'm gonna go ahead and do this, even though I've stopped going on my lower lashes, and that's probably why I quit using this mascara. Now you may be asking yourself, why did you stop doing that? Is it because you think that older women shouldn't put mascara on their lower lashes? No. I don't believe in rules. If you look good that way, do it. The reason I stopped doing it is because I use an eyelash serum that makes my eyelashes grow longer and thicker. And at the beginning of my channel, I didn't do that. So I could get by doing that. These days though, when you put a lash serum on, of course you put it up here, but you blink and it gets down on the lower lashes too. And then these lashes get out of control. If I put mascara on them, it looks like, oh, you know? So I just typically don't do that very much anymore. So what I'm gonna do next is my primer. Back then I used to love Too Faced Primed and Poreless. There probably was some silicone in it. Like I said, it's been years since I used it, so I can't say for sure. But I think, if memory serves me correctly, it was sort of like this from Laura Mercier, the blurring one. What I loved about that primer was that it tended to help my pores blur, and I felt it was better than Benefit's Porefessional. Now you can't find that today. If you could, I'm not sure I'd use it because it's very old. And I would just put it like right here to kind of blur out my pores a little bit and help with my makeup and just kind of work it outward. So that product I couldn't get, along with my favorite foundation, because Lancome discontinued Teint Visionaire. At the time, I don't believe I ever used brushes for my foundation. I tried the brush at the time that everybody was so gaga over, the Sigma F80. I never liked this brush, but back in the early days, I thought it was me, because every YouTuber on the planet was saying, oh, this is the best foundation brush. Now the reason is because up until this, the foundation brush that people would use would be the paddle brush. I just never had any luck with it. So I got this, not this one. Problem that I always had with this was I felt like I used too much foundation whenever I used a brush. And this thing was so hard to clean. You guys know I use all the time a brush with Sigma, this one, the multitasker. This is so much easier to clean, or at least I think, because the bristles aren't white. I do love, and by gosh, I'm going to go get that. I'm going to find it and pull it back into rotation. I do love F80 Air. I just never was a big fan of F80. But, you know, back then, you just weren't a real YouTuber if you weren't using a beauty blender to put your foundation on. And this one by Refer kind of looks like the black beauty blender. So we're going to use that today. And the foundation that we're going to use is Care and Glow by Lancome, because my memory thinks that the one I loved was not really dewy, more of a satin, I guess. It wasn't matte. That's why I didn't get the original Teint Idole, because I think that one there was supposed to be, or was, the big one that took over. Let me get this in here because I have on white. I don't want to take any chances. I do have to go out today. I got to go to the dentist and get my new mouth guard. The bridge isn't done. I don't know if you guys realize it or not, if I ever told you or not, but I lost a tooth and it's made my bite off. So they're making a bridge and it ain't done yet. And that reminds me, I was gonna do this thing. These people wrote me and they wanted me to do their snap-on veneers. I mean, I'm okay with my aging teeth. I am getting a little long in the tooth, like most people our age are, you know, that's where that saying comes from. Your gums start to recede, your teeth look bigger. Anyway, I thought about doing it for you guys because I know that some of you guys have missing teeth or whatever. You know, you just like take impressions at home, send them to these people. They make these veneers that you snap on. Supposedly you can eat, drink, all this stuff with these things in. And I thought, okay, yeah, I'll try it. And then they sent me a video. I'm going to link somebody else in the beauty community, in the mature beauty community's video. Do you guys know Kathy A? I go to this video that they made. I need to get busy. They want me to go watch this, of course, so I get good impressions. Well, I get to the video to look at it, and I want to know what other people are saying and thinking too, not just what the person who's in the video is saying. So I go to the comment section, and the only comment in this video is from Kathy A, who I know. I mean, I've watched Kathy A. I've known her since the beginning of my channel. The point is, I thought, oh, I know her, and I know Kathy to be extremely honest, and I mean, she'll say things to a fault. She's kind of like me in that she says things that come out of her mouth and sometimes not the right way. So people get mad because she said something, you know, but she's always trying to give her very honest opinion. I went and watched her video, of course, because I trust what she has to say. And immediately after watching it, I called the UPS store. Do you have a package there from Pioneer Veneers? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, can you write return to sender on it and send it back? Nobody got time for that.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
I'll tell you what, if you are thinking about something like that, I will link her video below so that you can go check that out.
I mean, I talked to Kathy an email about it too, and she wanted me and encouraged me to go ahead with my own review too. And ordinarily, you guys know I would have, but right now I'm very restricted on time. Possibly in the future I can expand on that, but I seriously have to watch what I'm doing right now. And I believe what she's saying in the video to be true. And it doesn't seem like a good thing for me to be spending that much time on right now.
Because I think that's a good thing for everybody to know. Now, I think that they're trying to like work with her on it to get it right. Whether they would do that with someone who wasn't a YouTuber spouting out what they thought, you know, I don't know. But in any case, I'm not doing that. I have a real bridge coming in that I paid real lots of money for. I'm supposed to already have this thing. Anyway, today, I don't want to look really horrible or anything or get makeup on me because I'm going over there. If this is white, they'll see it. Nah, it's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing.
When I say this has like the finish of the old, I think, if I remember correctly, like I said, that was a long time ago. It was because I really didn't use powder like I do today. Okay, back then I had trouble with powder. Powder tended to make me look cakey. The concealer I used back then, and I'm kind of afraid, because like I said, I am going out and I'm afraid this is gonna age me. It was MAC Pro Longwear. I loved this concealer so much. The way I used this thing was like the V, trying to brighten this area. Okay, let's be honest. Everybody was doing that, so was I. And oh, that's almost white. I'm scared of this part. Like I said, I have this horrible feeling like this is gonna age me. I'm gonna use a sponge and I'm just going to do it right there.
Like a normal person?
I'm not gonna do that whole triangle thing trying to brighten my face. I should probably do it a little more because the whole purpose here is to see if this stuff works. So I'm going to do it, but not like I used to do it. I'm gonna do it like I do any other concealer. In the mirror, it doesn't look that bad, so we're probably okay the way I'm doing it anyway. And I'm gonna take the residual and come up here. Now we come to bronzer or contour or both. You know, I used a bronzer to contour and stuff back then. This is why this whole video is happening, is because I saw this when I was over at the Sephora and I went, oh, I used to love you. Park Avenue Princess by Tarte. It was my most favorite bronzer ever. I loved it more than almost all my other makeup. I just loved this. Now back then it didn't have this. And there were two of these. One was like this and it had this more flat kind of a packaging on the outside, and then the other was like shimmery and it was like bricks. This one is the matte and that other one had a shimmer in it, and I liked the matte the best. That's what we're gonna do to bronze up her face a little bit using the Rephr 05. Right away I get that. I mean, and it has kind of a coconutty kind of scent to it. I don't remember that. Now, back then, and I don't have this brush anymore, my Sedona Lace fan brush. Do I have one by Sigma? Yeah, I do. I forgot about this. Okay, so I've already done it now, but what I used to do was I would take this Sedona Lace, big, fluffy, and don't try to buy this, okay? Sigma doesn't make this anymore. I would just go like this through there and should have got this brush out. And then again, I typically try not to use brushes that you can't buy. But a brush like this was really good for doing that along the jawline and not getting too much. So you could carve out your jawline with it and it wouldn't be too severe. I quit using this brush on camera and packed it away over there with some others that you can't buy anymore because people will say, hey, what brush is that? Where do you get it? Sorry, I'm inconsiderate. You can't get it anymore. My blush then is still still my favorite blush now. Hourglass Mood Exposure. This has always been my favorite blush. I don't know when I will ever not have this as my favorite blush. Hourglass's lighting powders are just something else, and I'm going to take the Refer 04, which is, say, angled, and I'm going to use it to put this on. Going on top of that bronzer at the top of my cheeks. And let's take the Refer 3 and let's use the Swiss chocolate one. And I'm just going to bring that in there. I'm just going to put this underneath my lash line. I'm going to go ahead and buff my face. The powder I used back then to do that was this. It was Hourglass and in Mood or Luminous. Those were my two favorite ones.
Nothing's changed.
Now I'm going to buff out my cheeks with it, my forehead, and all over my face. Ooh, luminosity.
I mean, glowy, glowy. It's a glow.
My favorite brow situation at the time was Too Faced Brow Envy. That was, I'll try and find a picture and put it here. It was powder, but it had a drawer, it had a pencil, stencils. The thing was, the light shade in it was the perfect highlight. The only thing I ever found on the market that I felt like was something that was close. The Wet n Wild Ultimate Brow Kit. They include these little tweezers so you can tweeze out brows you don't want. And this little brush actually does function. I'm not going to use their brush. I'm going to use this one by BK Beauty that I love. It's probably my most favorite BK Beauty brush is the 208. I mean, this is like the smallest of angle brushes, right? You would have to go with an eyeliner brush to get something smaller than that in an angle, I think. Let's wax these up. It kind of helps hang on to the powder, and I'm pretty sure this is how I did it. I'm not gonna do my brows like I did my brows then. I absolutely hate that look. Some people can take a brow product and they can just block in their brows and it looks just fine, but not me. No, not me. I probably should have finished my eyes before I moved on to this stuff, right? I think that powder is a little bit more forgiving for somebody just starting out
who has actual brow hairs, not on skin.
The idea was to get the perfect brow, the brows that everyone will envy. You need a combination of all these things. Pencil, powders, you know, highlight. I didn't like using a stencil to do my brow. What I liked to use the stencil for was to shape my brow. This was kind of like a match for my hair color, or what I was dyeing my hair anyway. But it's lighter than my own real brow, and it's got more of a light brown cast to it that I don't like. Probably am not gonna use this anymore. Okay, so let's look at the pencil, which was from MAC, and it's MAC's Kohl pencil in Feline. This was my baby, so I'm gonna do that. It's still real creamy, still very black. And back then, I didn't really care about transfer because I was using it like I just did, top and bottom, always. That was always what I was doing. So let's see if I just put this on the top, if Feline transfers down to the bottom or not. It's so sharp because it's new, it's poking my eye. A little. Back then, I loved Lancome's Curtain Call. And I decluttered that. I don't even know if you can buy Curtain Call anymore, but I don't have it, obviously. So I did get a Lancome lipstick that will go with my favorite liner. I remember this so well. A lot of times I only wore MAC Soar. And I remember at the time, Kylie Jenner, she got her lips plumped up, right? She got them full of filler. But at the time, she was saying that it wasn't filler. No, I don't have filler. It's this. It's MAC Soar. And so everybody in the world went and bought it, and I couldn't get my hands on it. And I mean to tell you, I had a MAC Soar that was so tiny because I couldn't get it. And I even had to go out and find a dupe in the L'Oreal line. And I think it was Infallible in brown, but I don't think you can buy those anymore. And since we all know now that Kylie did get lip fillers, and it wasn't this lip liner that gave her those big, juicy, plump lips, you can still buy Soar now. Back when I first started my channel, I used almost exclusively MAC and Lancome. For the most part, people don't talk about Lancome very much. And used to, everybody talked about MAC, but now they don't seem to do that either. I still like MAC. And what I liked to do was just pat it in the middle on top, a lighter lipstick. But see, I didn't have sore when I picked this out, so that's not really doing it. But that's what I would try to do. Lighten up the center of my mouth, and if I didn't have a lipstick that worked, your concealer does. So you could just take a tiny, tiny bit. And this stuff, that Pro Longwear, it really, like a tiny, tiny bit of that goes a very long way. I'm not really a gloss girl, but I do still like this one because I like a minty kind of plumper, and everybody was going crazy for you had to finish your lip look with Buxom. I forget what this is called, but this one's in Katie. The one I loved the best was in White Russian. And I'm just gonna put Katie right here in the middle. And there you go. So I'll be back after I do my hair. Most of this I still enjoy, and I'm glad I have it back in my collection. Maxor, certainly. I've never quit loving the Buxom because I like how it feels on my mouth. The Pro Longwear, it isn't settling. Actually, I would like to use this another time without one of the shades that I put on today. That Glisten, all that brightens from Lancome, it has those little sparkles I don't like to wear anymore in it. Tiny, tiny, tiny little sparkles. But I'll tell you what, it's not like other sparkles. It almost is reflective. But I don't like that. So the Feline eyeliner is leaving the outer corners already. I mean, all I did was go do my hair. But I do remember that I used to just put more. I'd just go back and just put more. You know, I didn't really worry back then about whether or not it was coming out of my waterline or not. I just put more in. It never really ever seemed to leave the tight line. I mean, I have other eyeliners that do that too. And it's not going to keep me from wearing it. The brow box? No, I'm not in love with that. You know, there are some powders that I do still like. But for the most part, I really prefer a pencil brow these days, and I would love to know whether or not Brow Envy would still be something I loved if I could have got my hands on it. You already know that I never stopped loving Hourglass. I still use Hourglass to this day, so that's not changed. This, I'm so happy to have this back. There's so few Tarte products that I really, really love, but this one is one of them. As far as their mascara goes, I mean, I like it, okay, but what doesn't look good over the top of Cils Booster, in my opinion? You'd have to be a pretty horrible mascara for Cils Booster not to make it look good. I probably won't buy Lights Camera Lashes anymore. There's no reason to. There's just so many as good or better. The other shadows, they were okay, but you know, I'd rather pull out a palette than singles. I really do prefer that. Not saying that one of these days I won't go back to singles, but for right now, I'm enjoying palettes more. It seems like a really good time for me to point out that I have an eyeshadow palette that you can purchase called the Bless palette.
Here we go again.
All kidding aside though, as you can see that indent right there, I'm about to hit pan on this. The rest of these shades in here will be like a normal palette for most people. You'll probably start to run out of multiple shades at the same time, unless, like me, everything starts with My Savior, that's the one you use the most, and then you run out of it. And then you have to purchase a whole new palette just to get that one shade. So I asked Sydney Grace if we could please make My Savior available to everyone. So as of the 1st of March, My Savior will be available to be purchased as a single so that if you run out, you can just buy that for $52. Not just kidding. You can just buy this for the price of the regular eyeshadows that you purchase from Sydney Grace and plop it back down in here, and then you won't have to keep spending $52 to get My Savior. Before we scooch out of here, I know I was big time alluding to something. I know you're not silly. You've figured it out. And that is that I'm going to do a Rephr giveaway here. I have all the Rephr brushes, I believe. I have them all, and I take really good care of them. But some YouTubers, they use their Rephr brushes all the time, constantly, and they're goat hair. So, you know, if you don't take care of them or you use them constantly, they could wear out. So Rephr sent some new brushes that get used a lot and they want to replace them. I've got exactly 2 sets of all these brushes that I used today. This is for the US only. 2 of you will be getting a set. Those same 2 people will also be getting 2 of their sponges that you saw me use today. So there's 2 sponges in each one of these boxes. Put goat hair brushes in your subject line. Send it to this email right here. It's Glitzy Fritzy Giveaway. No S in that. Send me an email with that in the subject line. Don't put anything inside the email because I won't open to read them. Just gonna run a random comment picker on it, and then I will notify you if you win. Tell me below. Have you rediscovered your love of something that you used to love about a decade ago? Or are you like me and there's certain things from a brand you used 10 years ago, you're still using it? Leave that for me below. I want to know your opinions. And I want to let you know that you're the best part of the Fritzy family. And that if you're not having a blessed day, the way you get one is to go be a blessing to somebody else.
And then I lost my ever-loving mind and forgot to say, love you, see you, bye.
Lord willing, I'll see you next time.
Which is actually a more accurate, better thing to say, but love you, see you, bye.
You know, we don't label things no good because it's a little blue, right? Oh, you're no good, you're no good, you're no good, 'cause you're tinted blue, blue. And Swiss cheese. No, it's not Swiss cheese. But Swiss cheese is good with ham. You know what else is good with ham? Green eggs. Dr. Seuss said. And this is the number 1. And the fun has just begun. Roll me over, lay me down, and Peter, knock it off. This is the look. She's got the look. She's got the look. Sure enough to be cooking in my book. Her face is jamming. Her eyeshadow is super slamming. Whoop, there it is. Whoop, there it is. Whoop, there it is. You know, I am getting a little long in the tooth. Hurry, I'm like a tiger. Ow. I stabbed myself. It was, I was dented in. You know, some people will say to you, you shouldn't use black at our age, okay? But you know what I gotta say to that. I'll do it if I want to. So, but I do remember that I used to apply PETA